Hello, everybody. Chris Wood here. Sunday, October 12th, or 13th, sorry, 12 p.m. I am a 5-year revenge retaliation, full physical identity theft, brain injury, body mutilation, attempted murder, or attempted paralyzing, attempted murder with intent to commit. I am a 5-year revenge retaliation victim of Lennox and Addington, Ontario Provincial Police for speaking of their human trafficking into homeless exploitation for monetary gain. I was shot August of 2019. I became a victim injuring, torturing, medical blacklisting, false arresting, stalking, kidnapping, blood and piss forcing, lies, time buying, cover ups, extortion, arrest, stalking. My mother was murdered and my two dogs were killed as well, all through Lennox and Addington, Ontario Provincial Police. Ex-Chief or Commander, year 2019, drove a white Jeep Wrangler before he left Napanee. Staff Sergeant, years 2019-2021, Shannon Cork, Robert Lucas, Robert Kane, 7224, Dave Weiss, Stacy, a mental health worker, was Daily Tea Company, Napanee, now Kingston AMHS, and Shelley Hafner. They are human traffickers, human sex trade, slavery traffickers. They are drug traffickers. They are guilty of framings. They are guilty of tortures, and they are guilty of multiple murders. Doctors who are criminally involved negligently in co-committing and covering up with criminal negligence and intent to protect their asses and everyone else's. Name and file falsifier, medical blacklister, girlfriend to Stacy, Kingston AMHS, Dr. Tatiana V, aka Margie V. Name and file falsifier. She is the one that assures crimes for her girlfriend's O.P.P's victims. Dr. Joy Hadley, Dr. Barton, Dr. Pritchard, Dr. Waldron, Dr. McGregor. They are all criminally negligent and involved in co-committing in tortures, medical blacklisting, treatment refusals, and they are all guilty of attempted murder with the intent to cover up. Each and every one of these doctors. There is ex-CEO Wayne Coveyduck. He is guilty of attempted murder with intent to commit. He is guilty of causing me lung damage. Patient relations, Erin Brown. She is guilty of having me falsely charged in an attempt to cover up her crimes, the hospital's crimes, and doctors' crimes. She is guilty of criminal negligence with the intent to commit attempted murder. Their accomplices, co-offenders, the ones that cannot be arrested, cannot be touched. They're sex offenders, sex slave traffickers, identity thieves, guilty of brain injuring, torturing, obsessed homosexuals. I am the end of my bloodline and my identity's been fucking stolen. Brain injuring, lobotomizing victims, torturing while keeping them from help. A guy named Bill Woldridge, he also is possibly a wanted Harvard inmate. He has many alias names. He goes by Bill Woldridge, Bill Cooldridge, Bill Delarosable. He goes by Stephen Maven, which is a wanted escapee walk away from O.P.P, which is possibly being harbored through him and committing homicides. He is a sex slave trafficker with him 4 ex-O.P.P chief, the one that drove the white Jeep Wrangler. There is one Blair Frederick Hardy. He is guilty. Bill Woldridge, or the one known as Bill Woldridge 2, is also guilty of stalking my mother and killing her in 2020. Blair Frederick Gerbler Hardy, he's an obsessed homosexual. He is a drug trafficker, guilty of drug lacing. He is guilty of rapes, financial thefts and frauds, identity thefts and frauds, pension welfare bank frauds, and he is guilty of multiple homicides for Lennox and Addington, Ontario Provincial Police with Spencer Mills. Jason Gimpy, two-step Vanalstine, the one that's on the thumbnail, he is guilty of attempted murder. He's guilty of identity theft with the intent to commit identity disability and insurance fraud. He is guilty of torture. He is guilty of stalking, and he is guilty of attempted murder. He is guilty. As a matter of fact, he's guilty of my identity theft. I now look like this piece of shit who is only approximately 45 years old. He is guilty of drug trafficking, drug lacing, and multiple murders between Napanee and Kingston, drug overdosing. He is also guilty of a possible homicide that he was involved in for O.P.P. back in 2021, September of 2021. There is Tyler T. Lake. He is guilty of attempted murder. He's guilty of torturing my dogs. He is a drug trafficker with and for Robert Kane. He is a rat informant. He is approximately 35 years old. He's animal tortures and murders. There is a Bert the Hitman Hustler. He is an alleged NHL hockey player for the Philadelphia Flyers and Hartford Whalers. He is a sex slave trafficker. He is guilty of stalking. He's guilty of torturing, and he's guilty of attempted murder. Raymond LeBlanc. He lives on Dundas and East Street behind Mamma Mia's Pizzeria in Napanee, Ontario. He did have two white pit bulls. One was deaf. He is guilty of criminal stalking. He is a child groomer, and he is guilty of drug trafficking with and for Robert Kane. He's guilty of attempted murder with intent to commit. Robert Berry. He is guilty of torture. He's guilty of attempted murder. He is a slave trafficker, a sex slave trafficker. He is a truck driver, and he is a possible serial killer. Him and his boyfriend, Robert, who is an HIV/AIDS victim, and they are spreading their diseases around. There is one Dale Hartwick who is guilty of injuring, torturing, brain damage. He is guilty of being involved with my identity theft and guilty of attempted murder with the intent to commit for drop charges for a stabbing he committed against his wife's boyfriend a couple years ago. He is now a rat informant for O.P.P. His boyfriend, Tony Anthony Axel Rose Hearns, is guilty of injuring, torture crimes. He's guilty of being involved with my identity theft. He's guilty of sex assaults. He's guilty of attempted paralyzing me, and he's guilty of attempted murder with intent to commit. These are all O.P.P accomplices. They are sex slave traffickers. They are all sex offenders. They are all drug traffickers. They are all drug addicts. And they are all O.P.P, the ones named accomplices, guilty of murders and attempted murders, lies, time buying, cover ups, how O.P.P are committing their crimes using doctors, using their low life pieces of shit junkies, their time buying, their badges, their positions, their false guise of law, and having Lennox and Addington County General Hospital medically blacklist their victims, falsely charge them to prevent anything legal for their criminal activities and crimes against victims. I spoke of O.P.P crimes, and I am a revenge retaliation victim of them for 5 years. This is when people go murdered and missing. It is Ontario Provincial Police. It is the doctors and hospitals who are criminally negligent, involved in co-committing and covering up their crimes, labeling their murders as other deaths to get away with it. Once again, Ontario Provincial Police, Spencer Mills 14716 is guilty of attempted murder with intent to commit. Staff Sergeant, years 2019, he is guilty of attempted murder. He's guilty of sodomy, sex assault with the one known as Bill Wooldridge, the one that has many alias names. Shannon Cork, she likes to laugh in people's faces over telling to file over to arrest her boss, the one known as Bill Wooldridge. She laughed in my face, told me to file a report, knowing it would have been burnt up, tore up. It would have done no good because he is her boss. He is a possible wanted harbored inmate, and they can't have it getting out that they are committing these crimes with harbored inmates, murdering victims. The piece of shit killed my mother. He stalked my mother, was calling my mother mom, thinks that he and I were switched at birth, believes that he is Harry Potter as well. Congratulations, Jason Gimpy, two-step Vanalstine. I don't care what it takes, one way or another. I'm gonna see you spend the rest of your fucking life in prison, you two-faced fucking crackhead, obsessed homosexual, low-life piece of shit, identity thief, murdering fucking inbred bastard, along with one Dale fucking Hartwick, who is guilty of sex offenses, who is guilty. He molested me as a child in Winnipeg, Manitoba. His uncle Harry Hartwick is involved, who is a child groomer, who is a child abuser, who was once living with us, and he at one time proceeded to try to sex assault me. He pulled down my pants and he stuck duct tape on my pecker because I would not eat a pickled onion. This is the kind of pieces of shit that the Hartwicks are. Sticking duct tape and sexually assaulting a child of 9 years old, 10 years old at the time for not eating pickled onions, and then making them stand in a corner for 3-4 hours. He is also a piece of shit that let me fuck his own wife when I was 16 years old while he sat there and masturbated. Dale Hartwick is guilty of sex assaults on me when I was a kid in Winnipeg, Manitoba. He is guilty of homicide in Winnipeg, Manitoba. He's guilty of being involved with my identity theft. This is what happens in Napanee when you speak police crimes. You become the object of obsessed homosexual cops with their fucking junkies who commit murders. This is how people disappearing. This is how people are being framed, and this is how people are being killed. Congratulations, you murdered my mother, you killed my dogs, and you're guilty of murdering the Wood bloodline. By doing this to me, how O.P.P get away with their crimes. They give these fucking junkies drop charges to commit brain injuring, torture, murders against their victims so they can frame them and fuck them over while they're buying time playing Pontius Pilate. Totally and completely having my fucking identity changed by homosexual fucking cops and their fucking low-life pieces of shit boyfriends. Dr. Tatiana V., I want you arrested and criminally felony charged with murder and intent to commit. You are nothing but filth. You are very seriously dangerous. Along with Dr. Barton, Lennox and Addington County General Hospital, Dr. Pritchard, Dr. Waldron, Dr. McGregor, criminal negligence, medical discriminations, treatment refusals with criminal negligence and intent to commit and cover up. Are you happy, you fucking lowlives? I am not taking a fall for any gimpy two-step Vanalstine. I'm not taking a fall for any homosexual Hartwicks. I'm not taking a fall for any homosexual Axel Rose Hearns who is aiding his boyfriend and doing this because he gives him blowjobs and he wants to continue sucking his cock for him to keep him out of jail. You're all fucking low-life pieces of shit. Congratulations, Spencer Mills, you fucking bastard. You are a terrorist cop. And to the O.P.P, to the rest, my identity theft is done, and this is why you falsely arrest your victims to get pictures, prints, signatures, so you can lie and buy time, and then you can continue to fuck your victims over while they're being prevented from help. Damage is done, you bastard terrorists. One way or another, I will come up with the $22,000 and I will give it to O.P.P to get the arrest done on Bill Woldridge, Blair Hardy, Tyler Lake, and the rest of your fucking accomplices. And one way or another, I am going to get lawsuits on O.P.P. One way or another, I am going to get lawsuits on the criminal fucking doctors who deserve to be locked up with the Hawkesbury doctor and spending the rest of their life in fucking prison because they are doctors. They do not have to answer for anything, and because they are covering crimes for the O.P.P. The justice of the peace is also involved as well. Poor, homeless, elderly, disabled, beware, because once they cast their lies on you, you will be seriously fucked. And that is no joke. I hope this is taken serious. I hope it's seen, because every one of these bastards need to be arrested and locked up. They are officially guilty now of my full physical identity theft. They are guilty of brain injury, guilty of tortures, and guilty of murders for O.P.P, Lennox and Addington, Ontario Provincial Police. Jason Vanalstine, you're fucked, you little cocksucker. And that's no threat, you fucking inbred gimp bastard. Look what the fuck you did to me for Robert Kane, you crack-fed fucking fentanyl dealing piece of shit.